Tony, let's take a minute and share with the viewers what's going on with the peripheral parts. Your preference, I see the milling high volume pump. I'm going to let you explain the parts that you prefer to put into this engine.
Well, we really like milling stuff. I pretty much run only milling and anything unless it has a dry something that we run Weaver's or Peterson's. But yeah, the milling pumps, they're the standard of the industry. Real reliable, pretty much it's a plug and play deal. I usually take them apart just to make sure there's no burrs or anything like that, but 99% of the time they're fine. We really like Seal Power rings. We like the Silverlight pistons, and we like Keith Black, and of course the GE for the custom pistons are second to none. Run lots of King and Cleveite bearings. I prefer the King sometimes because they're so popular I can't get them, but we did get King main bearings for this one. So there's your King main bearing.
I use King on the mains.
Yep, and then and I just want to talk to the viewers a little bit and tell them that you know, a lot of guys ask about coated bearings, and that's just like the coated skirt. This is a coated bearing. I just want to see what the difference is. And there's a company back in North Carolina that does most of the Sprint Cup stuff and a lot of drag racing stuff called Calico, and you can see the Calico box there. And they coated these bearings. These are actually ACLs, which are very popular in the import market. Make a real good quality bearing. And of course, this is a King non-coated bearing. You can see the black moly disulfide coating. This engine is going to be turbocharged, so that's why we run the coated bearings. We run the coated bearings in like that blown Chevrolet has coated bearings. So just give the viewers an idea of why we do it and what they look like and stuff. And then we were talking earlier, Moses, about push rods and things like that. Generally, what you need to do is, because most of your AMCs, unless there's been a lot of machine work done to the head, if you look at this, obviously, it's the stock deal, and it has a bolt that goes right here and bolts the rocker down. So these are what we call non-adjustable. So in the non-adjustable rocker arm deal, what we need to do is check lifter preload. When you deck the block to get your quench area that we talked about earlier, and then you deck the cylinder head to get it flat, you need to go back through and check the pushrod preload on the lifter. And all that amounts to is bringing every cylinder up to top dead center, as you will know. I'm not telling you you don't know, but bring every cylinder up top dead center, firing, and then check and see, make sure the pushrod has a little load on it, but it's not bottoming the lifter. The lifters have about 60 thousandths travel in them. Most hydraulic lifters are that way. It doesn't matter what, any kind of production American engine. So you check and make sure that that lifter is not bottomed and it's not loose, and then you're okay. If it is either one, then you need to adjust the pushrod length accordingly with custom pushrods, which are not really that expensive. You can buy pretty much any length custom pushrod you want for something like this for about $8 a piece. So it's not a big deal, but it's something you do need to look at, or it won't run right.
I've worked with AMC cylinder heads forever, and on the bridge type rocker assemblies, we used to literally size the length of the valve stem to compensate.
Sure.
When the cylinder head was milled and we pocketed the seats or whatever.
Yeah, and what we've done here, Moses, exactly what you had said, what we call that set the stem height. And we have reestablished the stem height exactly perfect of what it was when we started, because, you know, obviously we've changed the seat height a little bit and stuff like that, but all these valve stems are within 10,000ths. But there again, sometimes you just run into the base circle, the camshaft can change that. The how much you took off the head, how much you took off the block. So any engine that has non-adjustable rockers, you need to check the preload on the lifter. Of course, if it has adjustable rockers, a lot of times most of those you still need to check your rocker geometry to make sure that the rocker is traveling in the middle of the valve. With this is set. This bolts down, so at the factory, as long as your stem height's right, which it is, the rocker will travel across the middle of the valve. But when you get into adjustable stuff, especially stud-mounted rockers, you need to push rod length also determines how the rocker geometry and how the rocker arm runs across the end of the valve. So that's something else we can talk about on another issue.
Save that for another
Yes.
topic of conversation.
Yes, sir.
I'm familiar with that one too.
I know you are.